delay getting in here. Had a bit of a software crash, but we're gonna go ahead and get in here now. Walking into the courthouse. Don't got any cases for us today. Just purely charges. Right back. Alright, we're back. Less illegal this time.
Hello, is this Austin?
Yes, it is.
Alright. You're in uniform, right? You know anything on you? Yeah, alright, you're good.
Alright, thank you.
Court's in process, so just go in and have a seat.
Excuse me. I'll go around.
All right, Ms. Maloney, it's alleged before me that on or about the 28th of May of this year at 17:02 hours, that you did fail to yield the right-of-way to an emergency vehicle. I just want to remind you, since you don't have a lawyer, you know, you have the right to not say anything. You have the right to ask for evidence or witnesses to be brought forward in your own defense. Although it's a bit more limited than a criminal trial. It's got to be stuff immediately relevant here. You are willing to proceed without hiring a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
All right. Since you're representing yourself, I won't have you sworn in unless you're going to give testimony. Do you plan on giving testimony in your own defense, or just argue the case?
Just argue the case, Your Honor.
All right, cool. All right, since the government is bringing these charges, we'll have Corporal Stolas address the court first. Yes, can you folks not hear me? Is this thing not working?
Oh, we can hear you.
You smacked this microphone.
I can hear you, honey.
I believe your microphone was not working until just now, Your Honor. Thank you. Okay.
Were you able to hear me?
Yes, Your Honor. We were able to hear you up front. Folks in the far back might have had trouble.
It's fairly hard to hear you from back here, Your Honor.
All right. So basically, what I just summarized was the charge before the court today. It's an infraction for failed to yield the right of way to an emergency vehicle.
See if I can hear him better.
And we'll hear from on the citation.
Thank you, Your Honor. Do you want to swear me in first?
There we go.
Alrighty. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly state that the testimony you shall give in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Corporal Stolas, if you'd like to give us the rundown here.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon. My name is Dennis Stolas. I'm employed as a corporal with the Los Santos County Sheriff's Office and have been so employed since May of 2022. On May 28th, 2025, at approximately 1700 hours, I was on duty in uniform with a badge displayed and operating a marked Sheriff's Office patrol motorcycle while traveling on Great Ocean Highway northbound. Great Ocean Highway is a public highway in the county of Los Santos in the state of San Andreas. The facts of the case are this. At the above-mentioned date and time, I was following a purple four-door sedan bearing San Andreas license plate 58 Boyd David Charles 186. While following this vehicle, I noticed that there were no month or year stickers on the license plate, which indicated to me this vehicle was likely unregistered. Prior to me initiating a stop in the vehicle for the suspected violation of driving without registration near the 1003 area, a Los Santos County Fire Department vehicle was approaching us with lights and siren active. The driver of the purple car, who I later identified as Mindy Malone, who's here in the courtroom standing to my left, failed to yield right of way to the emergency vehicle by failing to pull to the right-hand edge of the highway and stop her vehicle. I initiated my emergency lights and conducted a stop on the vehicle. I ultimately issued a citation to the defendant for failure to yield to an emergency vehicle. I would like to admit body-worn camera video as evidence. I have marked this video as State's Proposed Exhibit 1, and it was attached to the case file. I've realized...
The judge for a second
yeah,
now. Yes,
at what
we
point
should
did we
probably
lose him?
pause. Just about a minute ago.
Okay. I've been preparing this all day. I could read that again.
He might have fallen down back there. Is he okay?
Check on him.
I can take over.
Oh, he's good. He's picking something up off the ground. He'll be back up in a second.
Can be a
Time to
judge.
judge
I can
him
do
right
it.
now.
Guilty. Guilty.
I took my hat off and I had to brush through the fleas.
I'd be a good judge.
I have no doubt.
Everyone's fucking going to jail.
I believe that is Justina right there.
Hey, do you smell her? Excuse me, sir.
Justina, have a seat, please.
Who
Yes,
the
yes.
fuck? You know what? Just because you said that.
Okay, I think the judge found a stroop waffle on the ground and he is back.
Yes, it was very delicious. I apologize. All right, sorry about that. If you want to continue, Corporal.
Yes, Your Honor. What was the last part of the testimony you heard?
See me not sitting.
I only heard up to like you were given your preamble.
Ah, very well. All right. I'm just gonna start over just so the record's clear and Your Honor has all the facts.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Absolutely. No. Good afternoon again. My name is Dennis Stolas. I'm employed as a corporal with the Los Santos County Sheriff's Office and have been so employed since May 2022. On May 28th, 2025, at approximately 1700 hours, I was on duty in uniform with a badge displayed and was operating a marked Sheriff's Office patrol motorcycle. I was traveling northbound on Great Ocean Highway. Great Ocean Highway is a public highway in the county of Los Santos in the state of San Andreas. The facts of the case are this. At the above-mentioned date and time, I was following a purple four-door sedan bearing San Andreas license plate 58 Boyd David Charles 186. While following this vehicle, I noticed that there were no month or year stickers present on the rear license plate, indicating to me that the vehicle may be unregistered. Prior to me initiating the traffic stop near 1003 Great Ocean Highway, a Los Santos County Fire Department vehicle was approaching
Let
us
me talk
with
to you.
lights and
Let me talk to
sirens active. The driver of the purple car, who I later identified as Mindy Malone via her San Andreas driver's license, failed to yield the right-of-way to the emergency vehicle by pulling to the right-hand edge of the highway and stopping. I can confirm that the individual I issued the citation to, Mindy Malone, is present in the courtroom to my left. I initiated emergency lights and conducted a stop on the vehicle and ultimately issued a citation to the defendant for failure to yield to an emergency vehicle. I would like to admit body-worn camera video as evidence. I have marked that as state's proposed Exhibit 1, and it was entered into the case file.
Miss Malone, you have any objection to that footage being entered into evidence?
No, Your Honor.
Without objection, that'll be entered as State's Exhibit 1.
And with that said, Your Honor, I'd like to publish it and ask that you review it, and as well as it is available to the defendant.
That is so ordered.
I'm gonna go.
Just give me a minute here. I'll pull it up on the tablet thingy-majiggy here.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Lori, don't stand up. They'll arrest you.
I don't want to go to jail.
And Miss Malone, you have access to this footage, right, on the screen up there?
Yes, Your Honor.
This is a very awkward silence.
All right. I reviewed that. I'm assuming you both have had the chance to see it. So, do you have anything further, Corporal, or is that your case?
State rests, but we do reserve the right to rebuttal if the defendant makes a statement.
All right.
Thank you, Judge.
Ms. Malone, I have it on file here, just as the way the traffic cases work is we're assuming by you appearing here that you're entering a not guilty plea as the defendant. Now, as your own pro se counsel, you can choose to make a statement, introduce evidence, refer me to case law that shows ways that you might not be liable for the violation here. If you have anything like that, now would be the you would bring that up. And if you just want to, the only thing to be careful of is because you haven't been sworn in, I need you to be limiting what you're saying to just legal arguments and not testifying from the bench there. If you want to introduce testimony, that does open you up to being cross-examined by the officer who wrote you the ticket here. So it's up to you how you want to proceed. But if you want to do that, we can get you sworn in still. I just want to make sure before you start telling me your side of things that you aren't testifying as an attorney here.
I am not testifying as attorney.
Okay. All right, go ahead. What you got for me?
Your Honor, I would like to reference California Vehicle Code 21806. It says a driver must
We're in San
reasonably
Andreas, Your Honor.
perceive the vehicle and have time to react. It was not a refusal to yield. I just did not have time to react. I became aware of the fire truck, but it was already well past me when it had registered the siren. I was driving lawfully and attentively, and it passed by in seconds. I had no time to yield safely without creating a hazard for myself or others. The statute requires yielding when reasonably possible and not panic. This infraction was not the primary reason for my stop, as the deputy indicated, and no immediate danger was posed. The fire truck continued traveling in the opposite lane of travel and never entered my lane of traffic.
All right.
State has an objection, Your Honor.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm not sure to what statute the defendant just referenced. We're in the state of San Andreas. Any other statute would be irrelevant.
That's noted.
Thank you.
We'll just adjust that on the record administratively there. Miss Malone, which part of 21806 are you referring to?
Would be 01, Your Honor.
A1?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
If I may, I would also like to reference a United States Department of Transportation study that was done where the average signal attenuation through closed windows resulted
Objection.
in a maximal effective siren
Relevance.
penetration. Give me a moment, deputy. Of
Okay.
siren penetration distance of 26 to 46 feet. Findings showed that this sound penetration did not leave adequate.
Your Honor, the state must insist on the objection.
All right. Miss Malone, what's the relevance?
It's beyond relevance, Your Honor. She is not an expert to that, and she's not qualified to read this study and to testify to it today.
The effective range
without
of its
having-
audible wording devices.
Okay. Without having the expert witness here to testify to it, the court should not be able to take that into account.
All right.
May I finish, Your Honor?
So what he's doing is he's raising a point about if you want to introduce something like this, you have to usually bring somebody who is qualified to explain it if I had questions. Based on what I have, unless you can point me to something else, I'm afraid I'm going to have to sustain the state's objection there. Do you have anything further you want to add, Ms. Malone?
No, I just wanted to say my failing to yield was not intentional or negligent. It was just the emergency vehicle was already out of sight by the time it registered. There was a siren. There was no clear danger caused, and this was not the primary reason for my stop.
Okay. And it was a divided highway, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
It looked like that from the footage.
It was not divided, Your Honor.
4-lane though, right?
Correct.
What is it over there? 3?
It was.
It was 4, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. So let me have a look at what we've got here, and then we'll let you folks know what I'm going to do, unless the state wants to, or Corporal Stolas wants to follow up on any of that.
Closing, Your Honor.
Sure. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. As you're well aware, having sat on the bench for a long time now, the relevance of intentional or negligent. I should rephrase that. Traffic law is strict liability. Her intent is irrelevant. There was an emergency vehicle approaching, as we saw in the video, on a straightaway. There was probably over a mile of visibility. That emergency vehicle was approaching in the number 1 lane while the defendant was in the number 2 lane. Again, referencing back to the video. The siren, the lights, it's all there. So, again, it all goes back to my my closing statement is that her meaningfulness is irrelevant here. Or intent, I should say. Pardon me. Intent is irrelevant.
Are you aware of any affirmative defenses to this statute?
From the top of my head, Your Honor, I am not.
All right. If that's all you've got for your closing arguments, Ms. Malone, you'll give you the same opportunity.
Your Honor, if you view the video, you will see I am in the furthest lane of travel, and the fire truck was also in the furthest lane of travel. So there were 2 lanes between us.
Malone.
I would like to add that I remained attentive and responded to traffic conditions appropriately.
All right, man. You can go back to your spot there.
For those wondering, here is the video in question.
Copy, no return back.
Copy. I'll have traffic on that vehicle.
All right, so here's what we're gonna do.
Copy, no return back.
What Corporal Solis told me about the strict liability of traffic
Copy. I'll have
offenses
traffic
is
on that
generally speaking
vehicle.
true for any code, unless it's expressed otherwise by the state legislature. I did review the video and the code. 21806 says upon the immediate approach of an authorized vehicle, which is meeting the requirements of other parts of the vehicle code about emergency lighting and sirens, surrounding traffic shall, except as otherwise directed by a traffic officer, do the following. Except as required under paragraph 2, which I'll get to. The driver of every other vehicle shall yield the right-of-way and shall immediately drive to the right-hand edge or curb of the highway, clear of any intersection, and thereupon shall stop and remain stopped until the authorized emergency vehicle is passed. So the way that I read this and the way that I understand it from the video, I can certainly see some mitigating factors in, you weren't able to react until after the thing was, the fire truck was basically on top of you. But I can't do statutory construction here. It does say shall immediately drive to the right-hand edge and stop thereupon and remain stopped. I mean, I watched the footage there, and you definitely were in the far lane, like you said, but it is still in violation of 21806A1. Now, I looked at your driving history, Ms. Malone. I don't see any other contact with law enforcement for any traffic-related anything in there. So what I'll do is I will find you guilty, but I'm only going to impose a fine of $50 instead of the $500. You need to just try to be a little careful with that. If you ever have a situation like that again, I see what you mean about not having time to react, but you gotta at least slow way down if you can't reasonably move. And there wasn't much traffic around you that was making it harder for you to get over as well. So I put the mitigating factors on there, but I will find you guilty for this citation.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I object.
All right, so Ms. Malone, if you just pay that to the clerk of the court on your way out, we should be able to get you taken care of, get you out of here, and I can move on to these other ones. And then you can always, if you want to get that expunged, there's always defensive driving classes you could sign up for. The court clerk will also have some pamphlets and information on that. You have any questions I can answer for you,
Oh my
Ms.
God.
Malone?
Could you repeat what you just said, please?
Yes, so I'm finding you guilty of 21806A1 because of the language there. It's very clear shall is a command. It's not an if you can thing. But I am, because of the mitigating circumstances, I'm going to reduce your fine from $500 to $50.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am, I appreciate you coming in.
Yellow.
Get those pants on him.
Oh, I thought he was coming to talk to me.
He's going to talk to you.
Mr. Pearson, hello, sir.
Your Honor, how are you?
Very well.
He sounds just like that.
Deputy Stolas is a lot shorter.
I wonder who's bigger. What's up? Did I get it? Patootie back there in the corner.
That's Judge Rehnquist.
Oh, no, behind us.
All right. Mr. Pearson, you just missed him, but Corporal Stolas we just had for a trial here. I have you on my docket for sentencing for it, but I did that from the bench here, so we'll move on to the next one we have. I'll call 0130.
Oh my god, I'm going back to my seat. Shut the fuck up.
Your Honor, I think there's a traffic case 0061 that's supposed to be on for a plea and sentencing. It's
Oh, okay.
it was cited in as
misread that.
criminal, but we're gonna do a little switcheroo here, I think.
I kind of love switching moves.
All right, I got it. That is.
Yeah, you probably know something about switcheroos.
Paul Burke, are you
Those
here,
that
sir?
don't know, Justina is a trained.
Well, Colonel Sanders to come up
I'm
here.
Make sure you shout for me in the
What a
courtroom.
fucking
Yeah,
nerd.
yes, Judge, I'm here.
All right, if you want to step forward. Mr. Burke,
I
see you don't
didn't
have
say
an attorney.
anything.
Are you willing to proceed without a lawyer here?
Oh,
Yes, Judge, I'll
Sorry,
just
you're
proceed by
quiet.
myself.
All right. So we're just doing plea and sentencing, I take it. Mr. Burke, I'll just remind you of the right to remain silent. Anything you do say here will be used as evidence against you by that gentleman. You don't have the right to an attorney because, well, actually, you're charged with reckless driving, so you do if you want an attorney, but, Mr. Pearson, you were saying?
I was gonna say, Your Honor, what we're gonna end up doing here is I'd like to make a motion to amend the citation at this time to an infraction.
That makes my life easier. You have any objection, Mr. Burke? It shouldn't.
None,
but
Judge.
do you?
None, no, Judge.
Okay. All right. Well, without objection there, that's approved. So we'll treat this as the infraction. So I will go back to what I said the first time. You don't have the right to a lawyer of your, excuse me, you have the right to a lawyer at your own expense. But if you want to proceed without one, I'll take that as a knowing and conscientious waiver. We'll proceed today. Mr. Pearson, you want to speak about this plea deal? Give a little rundown for me.
Absolutely, Your Honor. I've had this came across my desk earlier today. I had a chance to review the defendant's driving record and the facts of the case. This has to do with an off-road driving incident leading to a motor vehicle collision between the defendant's vehicle and a tree. While the facts of the case, in my opinion, do meet the requirement for reckless driving, just based on the lack of criminal history and the deputy's contact with the individual, I'm comfortable making the aforementioned motion to reduce to an infraction. I would request the presumptive fine in this matter, but of course, leave that up to you.
All right. Mr. Burke, do you plan on giving any kind of testimony here? I mean, we're not trying you, but I just want to make sure if you're going to tell me about what happened, that we have you sworn in.
No, Judge. I don't plan to say anything.
All right. How would you like to plead to this, with this deal that the state has set out for you?
Oh.
It's a little slippery over there, I know.
This kind of windy AC in here. Judge, I'd like to enter a plea of guilty. I talked to Mr. Pearson over the phone, and he said we could do some sort of plea bargain with change the misdemeanor to infraction.
Yes, sir.
And is that all I gotta say? I don't. That's kind of all I know.
Well, if that's all you're gonna say, I'm gonna just have you go through what we call an allocution. Basically, I'm gonna read the offense summary to you, and you're gonna tell me if that's what you did or not, because I don't want a untrue guilty plea.
Yes, Judge. Yes.
All right, Mr. Burke, it is alleged that on May the 24th of 2025 at 11:04 a.m., you did violate section 23103B of the San Andreas Vehicle Code, which is to drive a vehicle in an off-street facility, a parking facility as defined in subdivision C of section 12500 in willful or wanton disregard for the safety of persons or property.
Yes, Judge. I did that.
And how did you do that? If you could just briefly speak to it in one or two sentences.
Yes, Judge. Basically, I took my truck and I flew off a trail going 60 plus.
All right. And you would agree with the state's contention that that's reckless?
Yes, Judge. I would agree.
All right. I will find you guilty then. Mr. Pearson, I'm looking at a fine of between $145 to $1,000. What's the state's recommendation there?
Let me see, Your Honor. I believe the only thing I saw on his record was actually something that came in after this event, which was a parking
It looks
ticket,
like a
I
parking
believe.
ticket.
Yeah. So, Your Honor, we're between 145 and 1,000. The state would suggest a $275 fine.
Mr. Burke, you're able to pay something like that?
Yes, Judge. I can pay that fine.
What do you do for a living? You have a job, I'm assuming?
So I do mechanics. I work on trucks.
All right. How much do you make a week?
I make roughly $18 a week. Or no, sorry, $18 an hour. So a week.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I've kind of a little bit nervous today.
Your boss was. I was gonna have some questions for him, but
No, that'd be
18
messed
an
up, Judge.
hour, and you work what, like 9 to 5, Monday through Friday? Or are you working?
That's correct, Judge. We do exactly that.
All right. Would it pose an undue burden on you if I impose a $275 fine?
No,
Are you
Judge.
able
I
to
should
pay
be
all at
able
once?
to
Do you need a
take care of
payment
that.
plan? Okay. All right. I will accept the state's recommendation then. I'll fine you $275, and we will discharge the citation or the infraction at that point. That will go on your record as a conviction. There are defensive driving school programs available if you want to enter into those. Do you have any questions for me, sir?
No, Judge. I understand completely.
All right, just make sure you see the clerk on your way out. You can pay the fine there, pick up some brochures on the defensive driving traffic school stuff if you are interested in doing that.
Alrighty, thank you.
Yes, sir, I appreciate you taking the time to come down here and speak with me.
Have a good day, Judge. Thank you, Mr. Pearson.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Burke. Have a good day.
You too.
Mr. Dalton, are you here, sir?
Yes, Your Honor, right here.
All right, I'm going to
Colonel
call
Sanders.
0130 for the DUI diversion. I believe that's your case.
That is correct, Your Honor.
All right, step forward. Mr. Dalton, I don't think we've had the pleasure so far. You want to give me your bar number so I can make sure we have you on the record correctly here?
Yes, of course, Your Honor. Nicholas Dalton. Bar number is going to be 975945.
All right. And is your client here, Miss Winslow?
I understand she is present in the court today.
All right, if you want to have her come up.
Your Honor, I'm understanding my client is having some hearing issues right now. If you wouldn't mind just giving us a moment to sort these matters out.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, Your Honor, I understand it. We're going to be good to proceed now.
All right. You said you're ready to proceed?
That is correct.
All right. And ma'am, you are Diane Winslow?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Ma'am, you can have a seat if you'd like while your attorney and the state's attorney here handle this case.
My balls itch.
Actually, Mr. Dalton, do you plan to have her testify
Yeah, she's
today
doing that.
for any reason?
I apologize, Your Honor, I missed that.
Are you planning to have Miss Winslow testify at all today?
No, sir.
All right. So we are doing a revocation for a DUI diversion. Let me just make sure I have the records in front of me here.
I'm bored.
All right, so Miss Winslow, we're here today for a revocation petition on your DUI diversion. I'll just remind you of the rights you waived by pleading guilty. You've given up your right to a speedy and public trial by jury, although I will be evaluating what's going on here. The right to see, hear, and face in open court witnesses called to testify against you. The right to use the power and process of the court to compel in your favor. Your right to have the assistance of a lawyer at all stages, and have one appointed, but you do have a lawyer. So you've basically given up your opportunity to force the state to prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. What we're looking at here is the maximum possible sentence is 364 days in jail and a fine of $1,000. I am required by state law to impose at least a $100 fine if I find the state's allegations to revoke to be true. However, the sentence in custody is something that I will determine if we need to go that far. Now, I understand this was a first-time DUI, and I did give you a whole bunch of conditions. So I will let the state speak to that. But what I want you to just keep in mind is we're not doing guilty or not guilty today. This is just whether the allegations made by the state as to you potentially violating this agreement, whether they are true or not true. There's also immigration consequences attached, but I believe last time you told me you are a U.S. citizen, so we will skip that part. All right, Mr. Pearson, you want to speak to the show cause here?
Thank you, Judge. We're here. Pardon me. We're here under a show cause motion that I had filed and was granted with two allegations. First one is on or about 15th of February of this year, the defendant violated her diversion requirements by being by being under the influence of alcohol per a Corporal Stolas's report 53239, and that on the same date the defendant violated the terms of diversion by failing to submit to a breath test at the request of Corporal Stolas. There were reports filed with additional information that can come out later if they need to. Based on the diversion petition that the defendant filed with her previous attorney, Mr. Zimmerman, the defendant agreed to not consume or possess alcohol and to submit to breath tests or other bodily substance testing. What we have here, Your Honor, is someone who almost right off the bat after being entered into diversion went out, got drunk, violated diversion, and this was actually the whole thing was a call for service that law enforcement got regarding a stalking allegation by the defendant. That's neither here nor there. But Your Honor, what we have here is someone who clearly didn't heed your advice and did not care about this diversion petition. That being said, while we are well past the end date, I understand the court's docket has been extremely full. Per the diversion petition, even if a defendant is to violate diversion, they are allowed a one-time extension if the defense can articulate that the defendant has made a good faith effort to comply with diversion. I will say that my office has been receiving a lot of treatment reports as of late saying that Ms. Winslow is doing very well in treatment, working on handling this substance abuse issue that she has. So while my position, Your Honor, she should be revoked and sentenced, and I'll withhold my sentencing recommendation till if and when we get there, I would defer to the court that you do have that right to offer her a one-time extension to meet all the requirements and to earn a dismissal of this DUI.
All right. Mr. Dalton, would you like to give some context here? Tell me what you're looking for.
Yes, Your Honor. I would appreciate the court to hear my recommendation and explanation on the matter. So my client, Ms. Winslow, has showed efforts towards fighting her horrible disease of alcoholism, and she is making an effort to better herself. Since the circumstances, she's checked herself into a rehab center, a Maple Leaf Manor. This is, as far as I'm aware, a prestigious rehab center focused on alcoholism and drug addiction. In efforts to beat her alcoholism, she has been provided with support groups, constant therapy, 24-hour on-call nurses and psychiatrists. The district attorney office has been provided with these copies of her progress from her personal doctor, therapist, and psychiatrist. And she has since proven with her ongoing efforts that she wants to beat this disease on her own accord. I believe it would be a great injustice to have her stripped from this facility to fulfill any kind of sentencing imposed by the courts at this time. We asked to have Miss Winslow remain in the DUI diversion program, and if it satisfies the court, remain in the custody of the Maple Leaf Manor until the completion of her program. Resources are provided by this facility, allowing Miss Winslow to enter into a sober living house on completion of her rehab, and any kind of withdrawal at this time would greatly and negatively impact her progress. I always like to think rehabilitation over incarceration, Your Honor. And at a minimum, we ask to delay any form of sentencing until the successful completion of her 90-day program implemented by the Maple Maple Leaf Manors doctors and addiction specialists. We ask the court to understand that a withdrawal from this facility, either by her own choice or by the recommendations of the DA or the courts, will result in her not being able to enter back into the program due to their extensive waiting lists.
All right. As to the state's allegation that Ms. Winslow did violate her diversion agreement, Mr. Dalton, you pleading true or not true?
I apologize, Your Honor. Can you repeat that?
Yes, so where the state is making the allegation, they're saying that your client, Ms. Diane Winslow, did violate her diversion agreement. Would you contend that is a true allegation or not a true allegation?
We would plead no contest on the matter, Your Honor.
So you'll admit that it's true, but you don't want to plead that. That's fine. I can work with that.
Yes, sir.
All right, so I will accept that she did violate the terms of the diversion agreement. However, I am looking at these mitigating factors. Mr. Dalton, I have a question for you. Why should she not be in an inpatient rehab? Because I see the note from the manor here, and they're talking about intensive outpatient programs. Why would we not do it inpatient if she's already had one stumble on the way back here?
Your Honor, the facility that she's administered into right now is offering her a bunch of resources that we think is going to best and most effectively help her towards her goals that she set out for herself.
Does she have a job? What is she doing when she's not there?
As of right now, she is going to be administered to the facility on a 24-hour watch, and she is not currently working.
Oh, so it will be inpatient.
Yes,
she's
Your Honor.
sleeping there and everything. Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Did we already fit her with a scram bracelet?
No, sir. At this time, she does not have a scram bracelet or any kind of monitoring.
Okay. Has she been doing any of like a 12-step program, anything like that? Alcoholics Anonymous?
That's
other
correct.
versions
I
of that?
understand she is under some kind of 12-step program. She's following the directions and the procedures of the facility that's set out for her personal.
Okay.
Your Honor, if I may too, I understand that the facility also offers and provides weekly drug tests for all their patients in the facility at this time.
Yeah. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to offer this diversion extension on the diversion just the one time, like Mr. Pearson said. If we're back here a third time, I'm just going to put her in jail. We had any reports from the facility that she's had any other relapses since then while she's been under their care?
No, sir. Your Honor, as far as I'm aware, she hasn't had any relapse or failed drug tests, at least come to my attention. All the documentation provided to my client and then to me has been forwarded to the district attorney's office. They should have copies of all the recommendations, the results, and the how well she's doing throughout her time there.
And I have received
Okay.
that.
Mr. Pearson, how long was the original diversion supposed to run?
The original diversion period, Your Honor, is 45 days, and I believe statute does cover the extension. I just need to review the
Is it
diversion
90
petition.
days on the extension or 180? I gotta look.
I believe in our state, Your Honor, it's 15. But Your Honor has that judicial authority to make that something longer to fit any requirements you impose.
All right. So Miss Winslow and Mr. Dalton here, what I'm gonna do I'm going to order that you continue to be in the inpatient program at the Maple Leaf Manor. So you need to continue with your therapy that they're providing. You will do the drug and alcohol testing that they ask for, and you will submit to drug and alcohol testing every 2 weeks with the court. I will give the facility instructions on making sure that they bring you down here and get you in touch with the pretrial services staff. So I will order you to be in their inpatient program until they assess you to be done with it, and then I will order you to be in a sober living home. I will make the initial period 6 months, but you can always have your lawyer come back to me if there's significant evidence that you've, gotten further with your fight against this nasty little disease. You will be required to wear a Scram ankle monitor bracelet. So it has a GPS tether on it, and it uses your, it analyzes the sweat from your skin. So I'll know right away if you're drinking alcohol or somehow magically you get a blood alcohol content and you tell me it's a miracle and you don't know how it happened, or nobody told you they put alcohol in that drink. That's not going to be good enough. If you set that thing off, or if you test positive when you come to court, I will put you in prison. I want you to get a chance to get better with the right support and everything, but one thing I will not tolerate is people getting a second chance, or even in your case, a third chance, and then blowing it off. I understand it's a nasty disease, but I need you to work with me here to repay the, debt to society, the whole thing. So those conditions will continue, and then I'm adding the Scram. You are responsible for making sure that that's charged. It uses cellular signals, so you don't have to worry about like Wi-Fi or anything. It should work at your spot at the Maple Leaf Manor. And then I will require, it looks like you're already doing it, but I will require you to complete a 12-step program. So usually that's Alcoholics Anonymous. There are some other options if you want to choose them. There's a bunch of literature about that with pretrial services. And then I will ask for the copy of your relapse prevention plan that your social worker has written to me about here. I'll get that to pretrial services, get them to work with your social worker, and we'll make sure we set you up for success here. If you do not, you're going to be spending at least 14 days in prison, because I am going a little bit out of my way here to give you some extra room. So what I'll do with that is I'll extend your diversion so it stops retroactively on the day that you were arrested. So you have the original period to run plus 60 additional days on before we are able to close this out. And obviously that'll be contingent on you not having violated any of the other conditions, and then it'll transform into just we'll revisit as a status conference once you're out of the inpatient program and into sober living, so we can hear how you're doing. All right, ma'am, I wish you the best of luck with fighting this thing. Mr. Dalton, Mr. Pearson, you have anything further for me on this matter?
Nothing from the
No,
state,
Your
Your
Honor.
Honor. Thank you.
All right, that is my judgment. That is so ordered. Mr. Dalton, make sure she shows up for her tests. If the facility is not working with you, let me know, and I will issue an order to them if it's necessary in this case.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, we are all set here then, folks. Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, if I may impose, would we be able to call 0154 next?
154.
Yes, Your Honor. This will be a fairly quick matter in the last one I have on the docket for the evening.
All right. We'll call State of San Andreas versus Nathan Armstrong. I have Mr. Robin for the defense on this case.
Yo, you need me to move, dog? You scooting through? Or you need me to move, dog? I can stand up.
All right, Mr. Robin, this is, I believe, the first time I've had the pleasure of having you in my courtroom. Can I get you to make your appearance for my records?
Yes, Your Honor. Bar number 25114.
Can you just make sure you're shouting, please, sir?
Yeah, it's bar number 251114.
Perfect. All right. What are we doing here? Plea and sentencing on this one as well?
Yes, Your Honor. This is similar to a earlier case we had. Defendant was charged with a misdemeanor reckless driving. I've reviewed the facts of the case and have extended a plea offer to defense to plead either guilty or no contest to the infraction version of reckless driving with an imposed $700 fine.
All right. Mr. Robin, are you planning for your client to testify in any way? Just make sure we don't have to swear him in.
No, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Armstrong, as you may have heard me say earlier, this is true for you too. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to consult with your attorney. Just be aware anything you do say can be used against you by that gentleman standing across from you.
Yes, Your Honor.
You understand? Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
So it's alleged that you were in violation of 23103 for reckless driving off-street parking facility. Mr. Robin, would you like to, or pardon me, Mr. Pearson, would you like to summarize what you have for me as far as the plea? You already gave me the $700 fine. Is there anything else you're asking for, conditions, anything like that?
No, Your Honor. I think just a financial order in this matter would be sufficient.
Is his license suspended? Are you pushing for a suspension? What are we doing with that?
Based on this being reduced to an infraction, Your Honor, I would have no opposition to waiving the suspension in this case. I don't believe it would be in the interest of justice.
All right. Mr. Robin, is your client prepared to accept the offer that the state has made?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Armstrong, you understand by pleading guilty here, you give up certain rights, including the right to compel use the power of the court to compel witnesses and testimony in your favor. You give up your right to appeal this judgment. You give up certain other constitutional rights, and there are potential immigration consequences. Even though it's just an infraction, I have to read this all to you. You know, what we're gonna do here, if you understand everything I've read to you, is I'm gonna ask how you plead, and then I'm gonna ask you to give me a brief allocution. So I'm gonna ask you to kind of tell me how you broke the law.
Yes, Your Honor, I understand.
So what is your plea as to the charge of reckless driving in an off-street parking facility?
Guilty.
I'll accept your plea of guilty as being knowing and conscious, and I find you guilty of this offense. You have a job, sir?
Yes, Your Honor, I do. I'm a fuel hauler. I transport fuel.
How much money do you make in a month?
In a month, roughly around it depends, around 44 to 46 a month. 4,600 a month.
All right, I'm going to find that there's no extraordinary financial burden here. I'm going to accept the state's recommendation. You'll be assessed a $700 fine and $50 in court costs. We will not do anything to your driver's license. However, I will give you 30 days to pay. If you don't pay within 30 days, your license will be suspended until you are able to rectify that, with the possibility of an arrest warrant being issued for your failure to comply with the promise you're going to make here when you are accepting this plea deal. You understand all that?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, sir. I will accept your plea. I've entered a verdict of guilty, and you can, either your lawyer or you can pay the clerk of the court with the fine and the court costs, and we'll be all set here. Mr. Robin, Mr. Pearson, you have anything you want to add before we close this one out?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
All right. That will conclude 154.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. And that'll be it for me. I believe Mr. Portola has one matter he'll be being heard on this afternoon.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pearson.
Thank you, Judge. See you next time.
Excuse me, I have some questions for you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Good
Have a
evening,
nice
Your
day,
Honor.
sir. Mr. Portola, hello, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't get
Hello, sir.
Nope.
What case do I have the pleasure of having you in my courtroom for, sir? What number? are we looking at?
0. Oh, hang on. Oh, I clicked 0150, Your Honor.
Sorry. Nope. Get out of the way for you.
The state versus Padraig McNamee.
That's correct.
All right, is Mr. McNamee here?
Not your, but I am representing him.
Okay, he's signed a waiver of personal appearance with you.
Yes, sir.
All right. And ma'am, can you just recite your bar number so we can have it on the record?
Yes, sir. It is 518432.
Thank you.
And Your Honor, just to refresh the court here, we have submitted a plea offer for this, which it is our understanding will be accepted by defense today.
Mr. McNamee, am I saying your name correctly, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right. You do understand you have the right to remain silent. You don't have to testify here, but you have the option to. If you do choose to testify, you could have witnesses introduced against you. You have the right to, through your lawyer, petition for subpoenas to be issued to use the power of the court to compel the production of witnesses or testimony. With all that in mind, are you ready to proceed?
I'm ready, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Portola, what do you have for me?
Mr. Portola, sorry. Oh my God, I'm saying my own name, Your Honor. It must be late in the evening. I'll review the plea offer. If that's okay.
Nope. Hello. I might be able to change my team really quickly.